Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our grand preview for the Japanese Grand Prix. Welcome along everybody. Before we get into anything, remember to like and subscribe. And a huge shout out to the members, Dakota, The Joyous James, Robin Myers, Cinnamon Strudel, Michael Johnson, F and Edam on sandwiches. They are the members on the YouTube and on the Patreon. So make sure if you want to join the membership, click the link in the description down below. Before we get into all things Grand Preview, we got lots to discuss. News, the biggest special helmet streak we've ever seen, a visit special livery cul-de-sac. What else we got? Upgrade Corner makes its big return. There's free practice roundup, and of course we make our two predictions. That of course has never ever gone wrong. Before we say that though, on the channel already this week is the Stop and Go F1 Retro Review 1981. It was the San Marino Grand Prix, which we now call the Imola Grand Prix, but that was there in 1981. That's available on the channel right now, so go check that one out if you haven't seen that already. The Stop and Go F1 Retro Review 1981 continues through into next week as well. But let's talk about this weekend and the Japanese Grand Prix, because it's a big weekend. If you haven't seen the news, I don't know where you've been, you must have been sleeping under a rock, but Liam Lawson out, Yuki Tsunoda in is the big news from the last 2 weeks whilst F1 has been away. Liam Lawson has been dropped by the Red Bull team, is now in the Racing Bulls. Yuki Tsunoda has been called up to his position after only 2 races. Now, of course, we have had a couple videos on this already, so I'm not going to go into massive details. If you want my opinions, they're out there. But there is a little bit extra here from everyone's favourite man, Dr. Helmut Marko, who the big question has been, why now and not before the season started? You know, you had Lawson, you had Tsunoda, why not then, why now? And Helmut Marko has given, I guess it's an answer, but mainly what it is pointing the blame at someone who no longer works in the company. So, when asked why they overlooked Tsunoda, he says, basically, it was all Adrian Newey's fault. This is the quote he gave. At Silverstone, Tsunoda once drove into Gasly's car. Parts of the car on the track damaged the underbody of Verstappen's car, and this cost him the race win. Adrian Newey was furious at the time. Now, of course, this did happen. I believe it was Silverstone 2022. There's that picture of Max after the race holding the bit of a front wing of an AlphaTauri car, smiling. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Adrian Newey was upset about that at the time, but that was 3 years ago. Is Adrian Newey this man who holds a grudge for such a long time that he never ever wanted to call up Yuki Tsunoda because of one mistake he made in a race 3 years ago? Also, on top of all of this, right, the decision to call up Yuki Tsunoda, to not call up Yuki Tsunoda, was made at the end of last year when Adrian Newey wasn't even with the company. He left. When Newey left, they offered Perez a new contract. So this whole thing of Marko saying, oh yeah, Newey didn't like him, who cares if that's true or not? That's not the reason you didn't call him up. Because when you didn't call him up, Newey wasn't working for you anymore. And I doubt you were there going, well, he is very fast, but Adrian Newey, who no longer works here, doesn't like him very much. I mean, that's not a thing. That's not a reason. It's Helmut Marko trying to push the blame. But there you go. That's Helmut Marko doing Helmut Marko things. Before we get into this next story, this mic's on a stand now, which is attached to the desk. I normally hold it in my hand. Let me know if the audio sounds okay, because I'm a bit worried about it, but, you know, we're powering through. The person who left Red Bull last year is Sergio Perez, and over the past 2 weeks, there has been a renaissance of Sergio Perez. People going, oh, actually, he wasn't that bad, which is what a lot of people have been saying for quite some time, that the car is very tricky, and Sergio Perez wasn't that bad. And also people are looking at him going, well, look how bad Lawson's doing. Perez actually did quite well, realistically. And this has opened doors for Sergio Perez in the year of 2026. And he had an exclusive interview with F1 this week, where the big thing coming out of it was him saying there are a few interesting projects out there. I've been approached by a few teams since Abu Dhabi. We are talking to a few parties out there. Now, of course, with what happened to Perez at the end of last year, well, the way he was handed a contract at the midpoint of the season then had it taken away after the season had ended, basically meant that there was no way of him getting on the grid for 2025. All the other seats had basically been sorted by the time that this had happened. I think the only one that wasn't sorted was the second Sauber seat, which arguably at the time was the worst seat in Formula 1. So I think Red Bull screwed over Perez in the way it was handled, and I said that at the time. But, if people are interested in him for 2026, I wish him the best of luck. I think, I've said for a while, Perez, I think, is a fantastic driver. And, his results have reflected that on times. His times at Force India, he was amazing. Won that race in the Racing Point. Go back to Sauber 2012, fantastic stuff. Won races with the Red Bull. Occasionally had his day where he would out-qualify Max and do better than him. I mean, look at Baku last year. Max was nowhere. Sergio Perez should have been on the podium in that race, apart from the crash with Sainz at the end, which I don't think Perez was to blame for, personally. So I think Perez still has a lot of potential, and if Liam Lawson has showed us anything, is that Perez's bad results in this car over the past few years have not necessarily been a true reflection of his true ability. So Perez comeback, I'm all for it. Personally, I'd put him in the Cadillac car. They need someone there with a hell of a lot of experience, and there's not many active drivers available right now who have more experience than Sergio Perez. I think he'd be a great choice for them. Hopefully, we'll see it happen there. Last piece of news here. Not a massive news week. Sorry if you're seeing little jumps in the video here. It's just because I have to pause every now and again to cough. I've had a bad throat now for over a week. I think it's because of the lack of sleep I had from the first 2 races of the year. Good thing a triple header's coming up, with start times all over the place. Just as I get better, I will get ill again. But once again, let's not ignore that I am fighting through this for the people, because I'm a man of the people's champion, a working class hero, if you will. Last piece of news revolves around the Williams team, because they have signed a new driver to their academy, their young driver academy. And that is one, Victor Martins. Victor Martins, who's in Formula 2, I think he's in his 3rd year of Formula 2 at the minute, was previously in the Alpine academy. Shockingly, was not called up to be an Alpine reserve driver like every other driver in the world. He left the Alpine Academy at the end of last year, but has now joined the Williams Academy. I think he's a good driver. Very good driver, to be fair. He's one of the ones to watch as for the F2 Championship this year. It's hard to tell who is a favourite in the F2 Championship because we only had 1 sprint race thus far. But he has a lot of talent in him. I mean, last year wasn't great for him. Hopefully this year will be a bit better. And you know what? Williams have proved with Colapinto that, it doesn't necessarily matter how well you're doing in the championship. If it looks like you're driving okay, they'll call you up. I mean, Colapinto is this guy right now, which a lot of the fans are clamouring to see him back in a Formula 1 car. But I mean, if you look at his F2 results, they're nothing to really celebrate. I mean, not to knock the guy, but let's have a look at him. Let's see what his F2 results last year were, because I remember looking at it at the time and thinking they are not the results of someone where you'd say they're going to kill it in Formula 1. So, there you go. So, let's start with F3. 2022, he was 9th overall. 2023, he was 4th overall. And then 2024, these are his results. 18th, 6th, 11th, DNF, 4th, disqualified, won a race, 5th, 5th, 13th, 18th, 2nd, 11th, 2nd, 5th, 4th, 5th, 13th, 8th, retired, and then he got called up. He overall finished 9th in the championship there, never a championship contender was Franco Colapinto. But then he was called up and he did fantastically well, so who knows what's going on there. I mean, Victor Martins, if you look at him, look at his resume, it is far better than that of Franco Colapinto. I mean, not only is he a Formula 3 champion, he was Rookie of the Year for Formula 2 in 2023. He has won multiple races in Formula 2, won the same amount of races as Colapinto did last year. I mean, even last year wasn't a great year for Victor Martins. Personally, if you were to ask me this time last year, who's better, Victor Martins or Franco Colapinto, I would not have even hesitated to say that it is Victor Martins. So, Williams have proved that they can call you up, and they possibly will. Right now, it's hard to get a call up for Williams because that driver lineup is so stacked. Although Carlos Sainz has not been performing as well as I would have hoped at this point. But we shall see. All the best for Victor Martins for the rest of this year in Formula 2. Now, exciting times, everyone. Because we're going to go to Special Helmet Street. But before we do that, we're going to Special Livery Cul-de-sac. Because look at this! We got some special liveries for the Japanese Grand Prix. Now, the white Red Bull has been a topic of discussion for years now. I think it was the 2020 Turkish Grand Prix. They showed this one, and it was because it was supposed to be for Japan, but they didn't do it in Japan because the Japanese Grand Prix wasn't going ahead that year due to COVID. They went to Istanbul instead, a fantastic track where they did the white Red Bull. Since then, people have begged for this to come back, and it is finally here. It is not exactly the same as the one that they previously had, but nonetheless, a very, very nice one. So this is Yuki Tsunoda in practice today, and look at it. It's beautiful. It is fantastic. Something interesting as well to remember, at the end of last year, Red Bull refused to do special liveries. They were supposed to do one for every single American race last year. I think they did 2. Then they got to Texas and they didn't do it because it was too heavy and it would ruin their car. So, it's a good indication for Red Bull fans that they feel confident enough to do liveries again. The car, still not great, but heading in the right direction. But yeah, lovely looking car. What I quite like is like the bulls of it, or the red parts of it, look to be like a gloss. So they actually shine a bit rather than everything being matte. Not the only special livery of the weekend though, because Haas have turned up with this, which is fantastic. The cherry blossom of Japan being represented on the Haas. A beautiful car here. I saw someone say that they haven't actually produced any merch to go along with this, which is just leaving money on the table, Mr. Komatsu. Sort that one out. But that is a beautiful car. A beautiful Haas. But special livery cul-de-sac is filled a bit with deceit this week. Because, if you weren't paying attention, this week had the worst day of the year to be online. April Fool's Day. And Stake F1 team Kick Sauber, everyone's favourite Formula 1 team, did a April Fool's Day prank that not only got me, but when I realised it was a April Fool's Day prank, and I only realised this morning, when I saw the car was not the car they promised, I was incredibly disappointed. Because they promised a car that looked so good that I was about to forgive all of their rubbish results for the past year. Look at this. The Stake F1 Team Kick Stake, whatever their name is, Stake car. It looks like a car made of meat. But it's not real. It was a prank. And I'm so disappointed. Because this looks great. They said it was a tribute to not only their name being steak, but, you know, that Wagyu beef that comes from Japan. It made sense. It looked cool. It was funny. But I turned on the TV this morning to watch practice, and that neon green monstrosity was still there. The Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber lads have let me down many times, especially when I'm playing F1 Fantasy. But I have never been more let down than when this car didn't turn up this weekend. Because you want to talk about Haas leaving money on the table by not making their merch. If they'd sold model cars of this, I would have paid no less than £1 million for one of them. Because it's beautiful. But we'll never have it now. And you know what? I don't even know what Stake is. I still don't know what that website does or is. People say don't trust it. I don't understand what goes on there. But you know what? I'll never visit it now. So you've lost one viewer from me. So disappointed. Unbelievable. I know we're on a bad note there, but it's time to go to Special Helmet Street. Special Helmet Street, everybody, we're here! Special Helmet Street returns. It wasn't here last week. The people, they were crying. They cried themselves to sleep. But it has returned. The children will rejoice at the return of Special Helmet Street. Starting with this one, which is from Yuki Tsunoda. His first race in the Red Bull is his home race, and his helmet pays tribute to the kabuki Japanese, are they like performers, dancers maybe, wearing masks. And this is what has been tributed here by Yuki Tsunoda. Very nice, very good indeed from there. This is Max Verstappen's one. Goes very well with the new white Red Bull. He released a line of merch alongside this, with these kind of like red and white flower designs on it. It is the only time I have ever bought merch for a like one-off design thing, because I thought it looked really cool. I bought a white hoodie. It's comfy. It's lovely. I like it. This is Lando Norris's one. According to his Twitter, it's inspired by anime. I don't watch anime, but, you know, there it is. There's a car here. I thought it was Tokyo Drift. It's not. This, though, is one of the greatest helmets we have ever seen. This is from Alexander Albon. I have got multiple pictures of this one because I like it so much. What you can see, really, is he's got his outline design, the AA logo, the lines across it, but then this kind of, like, beautiful Japanese scene is the background, with the sponsors and the overlay on top of it. It's incredible. I love it. It's so, so good. I think it's... If we don't do Helmet of the Year, we just do King of Special Helmet Street, but my goodness, this has put him in a good steading to become the king at the end of the year, because this is one of my favourite helmets we've ever seen. Moving on, this is Charles Leclerc. A bit uninspired, if I'm honest with you. The red and white, of course, because lots of people have gone red and white this weekend. It's the 150th Grand Prix for Ferrari this weekend, so that's something worth celebrating for him there. And is this like a tribute to some kind of Japanese painting style, drawing style, maybe? I don't know enough, but yep, very nice from Leclerc. This is Gasly's one. Again, lots of people going with the red and white, of course. Bit of cherry blossom on there as well from Pierre Gasly. I think he's got the Japanese flag up top as well. Very cool. This is Oscar Piastri's one. And the front view of this does not do it enough justice. I've got multiple pictures of this one because I think it's so good. You can see here how it kind of the waves crash against the side of the helmet. I also found this picture. It's not very high quality, but it looks fantastic. Really, really good stuff there from Oscar Piastri. This is Jack Doohan. I'm going through these quickly, but there's a bloody lot of them. So his not too different from his usual style, but with the little cherry blossom parts in the pink sections as well. Very cool from Jack Doohan. More on him later. Very scary crash for him. Esteban Ocon, paying tribute to the drifting culture of Japan, is what his Twitter said. With the white sections with these kind of tire marks in there. The red sections have just got pictures of, is that a Japanese street? One of those Japanese shrines, are they called? I don't know enough about this culture to be talking about these things, but here we go. That's Piastri again. I think we're done. There you go. We got through it, everyone. We got through Special Helmet Street. Overall, some really cool designs there. Some people going a bit too generic, and when multiple people go generic, it points out how generic it truly is. But we love a Special Helmet Street, and we did it. We've done it, everyone. Congratulations. Across to Upgrade Corner now. Not too busy at Upgrade Corner. Red Bull have brought new engine cover, rear corner and rear suspension. Haas, new floor body. Racing Bull's new halo. Williams, new front wing flap and front wing end plate. And Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber did not bring a new livery, but they have got new floor body, rear wing and beam wing. But how well has that actually helped them, if at all? Let's have a look at free practice roundup now. Looking at FP1, which is a rather uneventful session, which saw Lando Norris come out on top, George Russell in second, Charles Leclerc in third with his teammate Lewis Hamilton in fourth, Max Verstappen in fifth with Yuki Tsunoda not too far behind him, just a tenth of a second off. Nothing really happened, though. There was a few little offs here and there. We had Ryo Hirakawa in the Alpine car as a rookie test, the first rookie test of the year. He did pretty well, actually. I think he beat Gasly. Yes, he did. He was 12th, Gasly was 14th. The main talking point, though, from practice comes in FP2. Now, FP2, of course, a lot more representative of what we'll actually see throughout the weekend in the sessions that actually matter, but we did not see a lot of running. Firstly, because Jack Doohan had one of the scariest crashes I have seen in a very, very, very long time. Going into turn 1, completely lost the rear end of the car, going about 180 miles an hour. That speed just carried him through the gravel trap and he smashed into the wall. This brought out the first of 4 red flags of the day. The onboard, the offboard, whatever angle you see of it, it is bloody terrifying. Thankfully, they're saying that he's okay and will continue with the rest of the weekend. Mixed reports on what actually happened there. Some people saying it was a mechanical fault, whilst I have also heard that in the simulator when he was driving the track, he found that it was very easy to go through turn 1 with the DRS still open. Now, of course, if you don't know, the DRS flap, you open it up of a button on the steering wheel, it closes when you hit the brakes. So he didn't hit the brakes and he tried to just carry the speed through turn 1, which is incredibly high speed. You get that long straight into that tight right-hander. Obviously, did not work out well. I imagine he will not be trying that again this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe someone else tried it. We'll wait and see how that happens. But yeah, thankfully, he is okay, because my God, that was a scary one. And you know what? This weekend, it's not looking good for him, because wasn't in session 1 because of the rookie driver, Hirakawa. Crashed very early in FP2. Has not had a lot of experience here. Not a good setup for the rest of the weekend on what is a tricky track. As we saw from Fernando Alonso, who got stuck in the gravel trap not long after the session was restarted, which brought out another red flag. And then after that, we had 2 more red flags because the grass around the track set itself on fire, which is something we saw in China, was it last year or the year before? Happened twice here, so massively interrupted running throughout all of FP2. So no one really got any long runs in because they were interrupted. People did get laps in, but there was traffic all over the place. You might be on a fast lap when a red flag just comes out. So we can't pull too much from FP2. But what we can pull is this. Oscar Piastri was top, Lando Norris was second, and they were considerably ahead of everyone else. 3.5 tenths in front of everybody else. The other big thing people are pulling from FP2 is that the Racing Bulls did really well. Isaac Hadjar was 3rd, Liam Lawson was 5th. When we look for the Red Bulls, Verstappen was 8th, Yuki Tsunoda was 18th. Now, of course, practice, engine modes, fuels, blah, 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 blah. 4 red flags. Let's not count our chickens here and jump to conclusions. But, Liam Lawson has struggled every time he's sat in a Red Bull car. In his second session in the Racing Bulls, he's in the top 5. So we can point a couple fingers here and there, but let's not jump to conclusions just yet. Although, we have been saying for a while now that the Racing Bulls looks like a far easier car to drive from what we have seen, and that continues to look the way it looks. Apart from that, hard to pull anything from this session. I mean, you have someone like a Max Verstappen who only did 9 laps in the hour. So, hard to say. And the thing is with Red Bull as well, and it's been this way for about a year now, or maybe just under a year, is they can look awful in FP1, look awful in FP2, then they turn up on a Saturday morning, they've sold everything, it's fine, FP3 they're okay, Max Verstappen was on the front row on a Saturday, and he's on the podium on the Sunday. So who knows what's happening here with Red Bull. It's not looking great for them, but it never is at this point in the weekend. So we will wait and see. Let's get on to our predictions for this weekend. And of course, one of my predictions has to surround Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson. So that will be my first prediction. I think Liam Lawson will beat Yuki Tsunoda in the race this weekend. It is written in the stars that this is the way it's going to go down. we've had it so far this first 2 weekends where the Racing Bulls drivers have outperformed Lawson massively. It is just written in the stars that as soon as Lawson gets in the other car, he will do well, Yuki Tsunoda will not do well. That's the way I see it going. Will Yuki do a better job than Lawson did in the Red Bull? I think he might. But will he do better than Lawson will this weekend? I don't think he will. Firstly, this is a track that Lawson knows really well from his Super Formula days. Super Formula lives in Suzuka, so unlike Australia and China, where he had no experience before, he knows this track. Secondly, as I said already, Racing Bull's car, a hell of a lot easier to drive than that Red Bull. You know what? I think Lawson's going to do well this weekend. I would love it, channeling my Kevin Keegan here, I would love it if Liam Lawson not only scored points, but scored more points than Racing Bulls have done all year so far, which I think would be 3 points. Because it was just the sprint, wasn't it, where they scored points because their strategy team will be messing them over all the time. Racing Bulls have scored 3 points. So I need Liam Lawson 8th this weekend to do that. We shall see. Second prediction. I'm going for this one. I think Stroll will beat Fernando Alonso for the 3rd race in a row. So far, Fernando Alonso sits at the bottom of the championship leaderboard, DNFing in the first 2 races. In those first 2 races, though, Stroll has done very well. Alonso, he's already had an off this weekend. In FP2, I don't know what's going on with him at the minute, but Stroll's on a good streak, and I'm no Lance Stroll fan, but I do quite like it when he does well, because he gets an awful lot of hate for reasons that are relatively obvious. But when he does well, I quite like it, because those people who use him as a punchline all the time tend to go a little bit more quiet, which is always quite funny to me. So let's have Stroll have another good weekend. We will see how it goes down. Of course, we'll be covering everything here all weekend. Qualifying reactions on the Saturday, race reactions on the Sunday, driver ratings on the Monday. All of that to come here on Stop and Go F1, so make sure to subscribe for that. Until next time, have a good one. I'll see you later. Goodbye.